Hello everybody, Marina here, back for another video. This one is going to be a tag. I was tagged by Jimi from the channel Jimi Can Read. Here I am doing the nonfiction on Booktube tag. Without further ado, let's go straight to the questions. First question, how much nonfiction do you read? Not enough. Not enough, because I know I protect myself from nonfiction. It's weird to say, but that's the reality. I read mainly fiction because I can protect myself. I can always pretend that the character that I am spending time with came out of somebody's imagination. So no matter what they're going through, how painful it can be, I can still, think to myself, things could have happened differently had the author wanted to. Whereas when I'm reading nonfiction, I know that everything is supposed to be real or factual or well researched, so I cannot change it, bend it, or curve it for it to be most suitable to me, for my conscience to be free and for me not to be enraged or anything like that. So I think that one of the main reasons why I don't read that much fiction, nonfiction. I love me and I want my peace of mind, so sometimes I don't read. What kind of nonfiction video do you make or do you want to make on Booktube? I would like to do interviews of authors who share their stories through autobiographies, or I want to talk to those who write the books rather than just come and comment about it. Because after I've read a nonfiction book, or while reading the nonfiction book, I do my own research, and sometimes I do not clearly, deeply agree with what is given to me or the way it is given to me. I'd like to sit down with the authors sometimes and ask them more questions about what I didn't find in the book, or know why they choose a certain prism to tell their story rather than another. What's your favorite subgenre of nonfiction? I don't have any. Or maybe I'm gonna put it differently. Documentary, like the films that they make on things that are happening right now in the world. But the thing with the documentary is that I don't trust everything I see or hear when I'm watching a documentary. Here again, it's because of the point of view of the maker of the documentary. See, for example, I'm going to give you examples because, English not being my mother tongue, is not easy for me to always, say exactly what I'm thinking. Most of the people who go to Africa trying to show something, what they do is they choose a prisma, like poverty, like death, like bad health, or lack of sanitary thingies, etc. And that's how they're gonna shoot their movie, and they call it nonfiction. It's a documentary, so they bring you fact. I'm not denying that those things do happen, but there's some other things that happen too that could balance what they're bringing you. But they know what they want to feed Western world with, and what the Western world will like gladly welcome or be able to sit down and watch. And they don't want to watch something that make them feel uncomfortable, something where they don't feel like heroes, because we always need our white savior. And that is why I don't really trust documentaries. My subgenre to nonfiction would be documentary, but without totally believing in what I see. Do you have a favorite nonfiction book? If I have a favorite nonfiction book, it will be this one, Call Me Woman by Mama Hélène Kuzwayo. This was, I think, the very first book I read that made me feel so complete. Like, this one is, of course, the autobiography of Mama Hélène Kuzwayo herself. But what I loved the most about this is that she introduced me to so many women I never heard of. The only woman I knew that she talks about, and she doesn't even talk about her so long, it is Madisikela Mandela, Mama Winnie. But for the rest, I didn't even know. And the story about the black spot, how white people got the lands. This one, I felt like it was complete. It's the kind of book that you take your time to read. And she succeeded into making me love even more the history of South Africa, because I saw how she paid tribute to her sisters You know, all the women she's talking about were not friends of her necessarily. They were not necessarily people that she loved, but she admired them for the work they were doing. And she gave them praises because she knows that in the mainstream, nobody's going to be talking about what these people went through or what they did and how they saved people from madness. Because what they were doing, though it was small things sometimes, but it was helping the other community mentally. You know, sometimes you go through so much, you just need a sister to tell you, you is enough. You can cope with this. You can go there. You can do it. No matter how hard it looks, no matter how tough it seems, if we come together, we can do many things, many great things, even under this load that is apartheid. So yes, I think this is my favorite one because I've learned so many things about the country, but also about the women in the country. And this is a celebration of womanhood. They are celebrated through the pain they went through. They are celebrated not because they were stronger than the rest, but just because they found a way of overcoming adversity. And those were trying times. So this one, yes, I highly recommend to anybody willing to learn much about South Africa in particular. So this is one of my favorite nonfiction ever. Call Me Woman by Mama Ellen Kuzwayo. What do you think keeps people from wanting to read more nonfiction? I don't know. But me personally, I know, as I said in my first answer, that the reason why I don't read that much nonfiction is because I try to protect myself. I may look like and sound like a masochistic fool, but I'm not totally masochistic. When I read a nonfiction book, I know that some facts are going to hurt me, that some revelation are going to enrage me, and I don't know how to contain all the things all the time. So if I'm not in the mood for, let's say, a new battle, a new adversity or anything, I don't want to read nonfiction. I want to stay in my imaginary world where even if the characters are villains, only villains, I can convince myself that they do not exist. When I shut the book, they are gone. But when I read nonfiction, even when the book is shut, I want to know more about those villains, what they did. When you're done watching the news, you don't want to go and read a nonfiction. Like, all the nonfiction you already have on TV is enough. Yeah, is enough. Why do you like nonfiction? It depends. I love nonfiction when I'm looking for a given answer for a given subject. So I love nonfiction because there are things that I learn in them books that are completely in contradiction with the things that I was taught when I was going to school. Yes, completely different, completely the opposite. What's a nonfiction book you read because of Booktube? Clearly, I have no nonfiction books that I've read thanks to Booktube. I am more open to take recommendation for works of fiction than I am for nonfiction, because my nonfiction are guided by my desire to discover or to dig deeper into a given subject. So I, being also me myself, being a moody reader, I need to pick up my own nonfiction. What's the best nonfiction book you've read lately? To keep it with the South African theme, I would say Touch My Blood by Fred Khumalo. This is an autobiography. And you will see that most of the time when I talk about nonfiction, I talk about autobiographies. Yes, I love autobiographies. I'm realizing it right now. I love autobiographies. Heavy by Kiese Lehman. There's nothing I can say about this book that will pay it justice. Like, clearly, I've tried in one of my videos, I tried to talk about this book, but I couldn't find the words. You know how sometimes you read a book, you love it so much, but then the words to describe it and make people want to read it don't come that easily. And you feel like every time you want to talk about it, you don't pay it justice. Every time you want to grab the book, there's something missing. And you watch the video you've made to talk about the book and you're like, no, I'm not going to share this one because, nah, everything is kind of blurred. This is one of the rare non-fiction books that I've read more than thrice. Yes, you heard me. I read it 3 times in French, and maybe this is I'm trying to read it and finish it in English right now. Very first time I read it, unable to talk about it. Second time I read it, still enraged and able to share, because there's a subject in here that I don't know how to address, and I don't dare talk about it publicly because I feel like I'm illegitimate. It is something that is not done in my country of birth, which is genital mutilation, but it wasn't the genital mutilation part that really got me out of my mind. The thing that enraged me clearly was the infibulation, and I'm not going to give you detail about it because I want you to go grab a copy of this book and read it by yourself, for yourself, and make your own opinion. And maybe after reading it, you will want to know much more about what infibulation is and how cruel that practice can be, or can look to you if it is something that is not practiced in your country. The thing that got me all shy about this book was that I didn't want to be vocal and sound judgmental. You see what I mean? Because most of the time what we do when we don't know something, when something is not part of our culture, is that we judge people, we condemn them without even trying to understand. And I didn't want to be one of those people who judge without understanding fully. Okay? And I was refusing also to want to know more about. The thing that hurts most about that part is not the action itself, but the fact that those who went through testify, and the testimonies are sometimes disappointing. There are people who found it, even women who went through other things, who find it normal. And you have these doctors who have their degrees because they went in a Western world, learned things, etc. And they are condemning these women who wants to get out of this, get out of that trauma, and come back to a normal life. So there are many things to learn in this book, like clearly, and I don't know how to talk about it. I just don't know. I always ask people to read it for themselves or by themselves and make their opinion about it. And I didn't want to be vocal also because I felt like I didn't have enough information or enough material to express myself clearly and fully without being, I said it before, sounding judgmental and thinking that I'm holier than thou in that subject. I leave it to you to grab a copy and read it. Read the testimonies. Maybe you will have a different point of view than mine, but me, this is how I felt after reading that book. What are some of your nonfiction reading goals? My nonfiction reading goal, I said before, is to read a maximum of books by black feminist writer. I will show you a picture I made, a few pictures I've made so long ago of books that I'm willing to read, so that you can get an idea, because I don't want to go and grab them and start showing them to you. I will put the picture so you can pause and write down the titles if you're interested. What's your advice for incorporating more nonfiction into your reading diet? My advice would be know exactly what you want to dig deeper into, because nonfiction is tricky in the sense that you cannot give a nonfiction book to just anybody, because if they're not interested by the subject, then the best result you can get is them telling you, oh, I don't love to read, I don't like reading, I don't find this, etc. Everybody can read, provided they find the books or the genre that suits them the most. So when it comes to nonfiction, it's even more trickier, because you have to find the subject matter that you are interested in, so that you can keep searching, you can keep learning, and you can compare the point of view, the different point of view, and you can eventually build up your own opinion out of everything you've read. Know you, know what you like, know your desire, know what you want to know more about, and then find the nonfiction book that can help you dig really deeper. Give some recommendation of nonfiction Booktube channel that you love. The only person I know and follow who talk about nonfiction a lot is Rachel Ray, and I'm going to put the link down below to her channel. Well, that's it for today, my people. I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.